Welcome to today's webinar on Advisor TV Advisor Radio. It's brought to you today by the Agent's Advisor, empowering independent insurance agents, and MedPlan Network, your medical insurance partner. My name is Joe Morris, Chairman and CEO of the Agent's Advisor. I'm with today's host, Jeff Roach, our Director of Financial Planning at the Agent's Advisor. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe. As Joe mentioned, we are going to discuss primarily the annuity market today. And the title of this presentation is How to Make Pretty Easy Money Helping Clients and Future Clients Purchase Fixed Annuities. Basically, what is a fixed annuity? It's a tax-deferred investment vehicle offered by the insurance companies. It's kind of their competition or their competitive product to CDs at the bank. The difference, of course, tax-deferred. If you're not taking the income, it doesn't get taxed each year like a CD does. You get a couple different types of annuities. You've got the deferred annuity, which is probably the most common, where a person puts in, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000. It will grow for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then the person decides, okay, at that point, I'm going to start taking some of the money. So that's why it's called a deferred annuity, because you let it accumulate until you start taking some of the interest or even possibly some of the principal. The other one that's pretty common out there is called a single premium immediate annuity, also known as a SPIA. That's where the person says, hey, I've got X number of dollars and I need an income generated right away on a guaranteed basis. And so let's just call it $100,000 and the person is 63 years of age. What they're trying to do there is just basically create another pension plan for themselves that will last anywhere between 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or a lifetime. If they choose a lifetime option only, and they are single, for example, sometimes the question happens or comes out, what happens to the rest of the money if the client does die in the first 3 or 4 years? Well, that's an issue that I always discuss with all my clients, is that if you choose the life-only option, you are taking quite a bit of risk that you are going to live well beyond the age of 83, 84, 85. So what happens when you do a single premium immediate annuity is if a person does pass away and you've chosen the life-only option, the rest of that money ends up going back to the carrier in exchange for they were going to guarantee you an income for the rest of your life. We'll get into that a little bit more. So a common error that's made, we always add with a life certain feature to an immediate annuity. So then people say, well, how do I transition from talking about my Medicare supplement clients, talking about my property and casualty clients, or if I've just done, life insurance all these years and now I want to try to talk about a fixed annuity? I mean, I'm telling you, the fixed annuity is probably one of the easiest things to explain out there where you can make, a fairly decent commission. CDs, you probably can't even sell those. And if you could, you're not going to make, half a percentage point. So we'll get into some of the commission rates here shortly. But the conversation that I've always had is planning for you and your future is a lot like us being your pilot getting on an airplane. You are asking us to help you get from point A to point B on a timely basis in a safe manner. And if you think about safety, that's really what fixed annuities are all about. So very simple product, very easy to explain. It's a tax-deferred investment vehicle where you get an interest rate factor that is locked in for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, all the way up to 10 years. Right now, the interest rate cycle is probably the 5 and 6 year numbers are the hot spot, because if you go out 6, 7, 9, 10 years, 7 to 10 years, you're really not getting much more interest. So unless you think rates are going to plummet over the next 7 or 10 years, I really wouldn't suggest going out much more than 5 or 6, because those are in the 3.5% range. So you can go to a client and say, we've got a product that can fit what you need, whether you need the interest or not. If you take the interest, yes, it is taxable. If you don't take it, it's tax deferred, and therefore it won't affect your Social Security calculations on the give back rules. So overall, I think it's extremely easy to explain. You never really have to apologize to a client or a future client. I don't call them prospects because I hope that everybody I talk to is going to become a future client. And you don't have to worry about large stock market drops when you go back a year from now. If the stock market went down 14, 15% like it did the last quarter of 2018, you're not going to have that difficult conversation because you're not, in the securities business. You're going to say, hey, your fixed annuity is still paying you 3.5%, and nothing happened. We only work with, through our partnership with Ash Brokerage, we only work with the higher rated companies, and when I say higher rated, I mean the A- or better, so that would include A-, A+, and A++. You can show lower rated companies. I don't know if your Arizona Emissions Insurance would cover that if anything did happen. If you showed a C+ or a B- company because they were paying a higher interest rate, and you can get higher than 3.5%, but you're going to have to go with probably a lower rated company. I don't know what you have found over the years, Joe, but have you dealt much with some of those B+ companies and C companies that are out there?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of other IMOs, FMOs market those, and they market the rates. And, when you deal with a sophisticated client, in my view, and they've got a CPA or a financial planner with a line of sight, I think that's a challenge for the average agent or advisor talking financial planning products like annuities, because that rating is going to come up.
I agree. And if you are out there showing those lesser quality products and the client does start kind of understanding the business a little bit better, I promise you they're going to ask you, why did you put me with a B+ company instead of an A+ company? The bigger name companies are usually a little bit more stable, and that's why they have the higher ratings. Another rating that people oftentimes overlook is what's known as the Comdex score rating. And you want to elaborate a little bit on that too?
No, I'm going to let you.
Okay. So the Comdex score rating is basically a comparison of all the companies out there and their ability to pay their claims in the event that something were to really happen on a negative basis. And so there's companies out there that have Comdex scores in the 50s and 60s, which I would probably shy away from. And then there's Comdex scores out there in the mid to high 90s. And so we tend to recommend if you stay with an A-rated company, A- or better, the Comdex score rating should probably be at least in the high 70s or low 80s or higher, just to add that extra layer of stability. So again, we just prefer to work in that market because we do work a lot with clients that have CPAs, and the CPA would question that if they ever checked into it. Commissions on the 5- and 6-year products that are out there through the high-quality companies, they're going to be, they've come down. I'm not going to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. They've come down over the last few years because, of course, interest rates have come down and insurance companies have not been able to get as much return on their investments, and commissions got hit as well. So for the 5 to 6 year range, you're looking at probably, anywhere between 2 to 2.5%. But hey, if a person has $100,000 and all you got to do is fill out an application, it's fairly simple. Explain a product that's not going to ever disappoint anybody, then making a couple $1,000s is not that bad of a day. Again, right now, the 7 to 10 year products are not paying that much more than what the 5 to 6 years are, and the commissions on those are about the same, 2.5% maybe. So we've always talked about when you work with money in general, you want to get that money recirculating probably every 3 to 5 years, and so locking somebody in for 8, 9, 10 years at 3.5% is not a recommendation we're making right now. Current rates, as I mentioned, it kind of depends upon how old the client is. The rates don't depend upon that. The rates depend upon whether or not the person has under $100,000 to invest or over $100,000 to invest. The 5-year rate, just I called this morning, you can get about 3.4 if it's under 100 and 3.55 if it's over 100. So you compare that to a bank CD, and in most cases that's going to be higher. The 6-year rate jumps up a little bit to about 3.6 under 100,000 and 3.7 under or over 100,000. So the other question people have is, well, you know, what does the client pay as far as a commission? Annuities are a no upfront fee commission product. If they have $100,000 to invest, they have $50,000 to invest, that's exactly what's going to go to work for them. The insurance industry is one of those industries that they pay the commissions in advance, in the fact that the client is going to have to agree to a 5 or 6 year or 4 or 6 year surrender period, and during that time they can usually get out 10%. Some companies are 15%. Some companies are 0 interest only. So that's something we really want to look at, depending upon what the client says that they need. If they come to you and say, hey, I've got 50,000, I got 200,000, I got 100,000 that I can stock away for 5 or 6 years, then you might be able to get a higher rate by choosing a product that doesn't have as much access. But if they say, hey, wait a minute, you know, I might need some of this money back, then we probably want to look at a product that has a 10 or 15% access, and they might have to accept a little bit lower rate. So if we could, on our website, if we go back to the financial planning area, that brings us to the consistent, reliable solutions page. That's our whole motto. Our goal is to always try to bring you consistent, reliable solutions. We're not just going to be out there trying to talk product. And when you come down to the bottom here, you can see that there's the team that we've put together. There's myself, Jeff Roach, and Steve Shankerman at Ash Brokerage, and his inside assistant and helper, John Malley, are the two that we're working with on the whole fixed annuity market. So when you call us, we'll get you signed up with the agent's advisor. We'll get you appointed over at Ash Brokerage, and then those are the two that we're working with as far as getting the updated rates on a daily basis. Generally, rates on fixed annuities change about every Monday evening or Tuesday morning, so it's not something you have to check every single day. However, the trend this coming Friday is that they are going down a little bit with some of the carriers. So I think that tells you that maybe interest rates have peaked for the moment anyway. As far as Ash Brokerage, I've got this pulled up. It's a www.ashbrokerage.com, and when you get signed up with them, you'll have a sign-in. It's probably just your email, and then you'll have a password. I've already signed in myself. And it takes you to the page of, you know, my business for commissions, cases, contracts. You can run quotes. You can request illustrations, applications. You can print them out yourself in the areas of life, long-term care, DI, and annuities. You can do online applications with some of the carriers. Products, you can see here, life insurance, annuities, long-term care. So if we go to the annuities page, I think the cold weather has everything slowing down a little. You can see the product information, product lock procedures, fixed annuities, index annuities. We're not going to talk too much about index annuities today. That's almost a totally different topic altogether. And then carrier rate sheets, you can see that they update those on a pretty regular basis. And single premium immediate annuities and delayed income annuities are kind of the new item out there these days. Go back to the products again, and under available carriers, you can see that Ash has several different carriers, anywhere from Allianz, and then you just go down the list. There's that Comdex score over on the far right that I was telling you about. And there's some big name companies out there that the Comdex score has really dropped off. So shouldn't be the only factor you look at, but when you look at a company like Lincoln and you see 91 on the Comdex score, and then you look at another company that has a much lower, I personally would just feel more comfortable looking at the Lincoln products. So that's several of their carriers. They don't really use that many on the annuity side, probably 23, 25 annuity companies, and I would say 6 or 7 of them get probably 80 to 85% of their business in the fixed single premium annuity and index annuity rates. Anything else you want to add so far, Joe?
I do, because this is why, if you haven't had a chance yet to see our webinar, go on Advisor TV, click on our introduction to our financial planning division, and watch that quick webinar. It's about 30 minutes where we introed the new relationship that we put together for ASH. And I want to reiterate what we talked about in that, and I can do it really quick here. As many of you have worked with me over the years, you know how important I see back office support being and having true, consistent, reliable solutions. The consistency of the follow-up in terms of case development, pre-screens, and just building out a case. And being reliable in the information we give you or the direction we guide you on that case development or that pre-screen. And then the solution itself, it's not all about products and comp grids. It's truly about finding solutions that are legit, not some fanfare or the new shiny penny or a one-trick pony approach. You see, when you're dealing with financial planning products like life insurance, annuities, long-term care, and disability income, those are financial products that there's more depth to the conversation than just throwing out a cheap term price or throwing out an annuity rate and without knowing the details. There's a lot more to that. So as we put this together, what we're doing, we're accessing the backroom support of Ash Brokerage. All these products come through the agent's advisor. We're your lead on this, and they're providing the backroom support and guidance in terms of case development, pre-screens, and management tools. That was important that we bring to you a high level of professionalism, a good team of people, and they designated a team of people to work with you and I on this. And so when you see the product offerings, you'll get more information, but in order to get linked up with ASH, you have to get linked up with us. You have to get linked with us first. We get you set up in the system. Once you're set up in the system, the next step is, and that's our system at the agent's advisor, once you're set up in our system, we can then approve you to get the link to have this. Ash Brokerage is a big organization, 350 plus employees. They got offices nationwide. They are going to give us and you that backroom support you need, and that's very important, especially in this day and age, because there's so much more to it than just product.
So much more to it than product.
And so when you see, in order to have access to this, and it's like what we talked about last Wednesday at the Wealth Health Wednesday, we talked and reviewed the life audit program. You will have customized proposals for your client that's scalable in a sense that will do side-by-side comparisons, and you need that as the independent agent, that it will be done for you on your behalf when we do the market analysis, whether it be life insurance, annuities, long-term care, or disability income. That's all powered by Ash Brokerage on the back end. On the front end, it's all started with you and the agent's advisor.
Yeah, one reason we paired up with them is, they did $1.5 billion last year in fixed annuities. That's a big number. So if you have a case... That
was with a B.
Yeah, that was with a B, 1.5 billion. So if you do have a case that gets caught up in, in processing or we're trying to fight for a little bit higher interest rate factor, I don't know how much fudge there is there, but they're going to get it done, and they've proven just in the last year. I personally, I'm a producer, I'm an independent financial advisor, and I don't ever run my own quotes because I don't have the kind of time it takes to go in there and, cross-reference term policies, cross-reference annuities. I just always call and say, hey, show me your what they call their best in class, and they will have that, on one of their pages every single week to show you, hey, here's the highest paying, high quality fixed annuity right now, and here's 4 or 5 other options. So I don't know about you, Joe, and some of the other folks out there, but I just don't spend any time getting my own quotes.
Well, and you don't have to go to the expense, and most of you listening or watching will understand this, of having software programs,
Right.
monthly subscription fees to buy into a system, or let alone buy into a concept product sale where you're having to go be certified on it and have to pay a monthly subscription to have the fancy PowerPoints. The agent's advisor is providing that to you at no cost. And we're going to develop those cases with you. And the beauty of it is, if you're new to the financial planning market, whether it be life insurance, annuities, long-term care, or disability income, beyond the fact we can help the seasoned advisor or agent who's comfortable in presenting to their client, we're also providing you that one-on-one joint work opportunity where we can come out in the field with you, help you on the first 5 or 6 cases,
Right.
get you developed, get you comfortable, and then once you get it into a groove, that you can say, you know what, Jeff, I think I got this.
Yeah, I think that's what we've done already with a couple agencies, and fixed annuities are not that difficult to understand once you grasp the thing I didn't talk about is the market value adjustment. That is a feature that has come along in this low interest rate environment, and that could negatively or positively affect the person's surrender value. So let's just say they choose a 6-year product. You need to be able to explain what the market value adjustment concept and feature is, because if rates go significantly higher than what their 3.4, 3.5% rate is, then that could negatively affect if they decide to cash out before the end of the 6 years. However, if interest rates go lower, it could positively affect it. So market value adjustment is something I don't want to get into in great detail over the webinar, but it's definitely something we should talk about when we discuss, some one-on-one training and some agency training. So 3.5% approximately for a 5 to 6 year product with a market value adjustment never comes into play unless they are cashing out completely. Some companies have a 10% free out during that 5 or 6 year surrender charge period. Some companies are 15. Some companies are interest only. And the other question I get a lot is I'm getting a monthly paycheck. Isn't that an annuity? Well, not really. I mean, it's a form of an annuity. An annuity by itself is just a tax-deferred investment vehicle offered by an insurance company. To get it to become a monthly check, you have to do something to it, and that's what we call annuitize. And annuitization can be a great feature, but as I mentioned earlier on the single premium immediate annuities, or if you annuitize your deferred annuity, if you set that up incorrectly and you choose a life-only option, well, if that person lives to 110, they're going to be very happy with you because they've been getting income for so long. But if that client only lives 3 or 4 more years, and that $100,000 is flowing back to the insurance company, the heirs are going to say, hey, wait a minute, I think you structured that wrong. So understanding market value adjustment, understanding annuitization is all probably the most complicated parts of a fixed annuity. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're listening and you've not written any annuities or done it, here's what I want you to know. Relax.
Exactly.
Relax. If you've done a good job of building out your client base, whether it be through health insurance, Medicare, or any other product, if you've done property and casualty, relax, because you've already done the hard part. You've got a client base. And just like with our life audit program, just like with dealing with the annuities, the old cliche has been for years. If you're trying to uncover how you can help your client, there's a number of ways of doing it. One of the simplest things I learned many years ago is, where do you keep your CDs? That question was like one of the first questions to ask, what to say to sell. And they say, well, yeah, I have it down at the bank. Great. And then you go right into, hey, I got to talk to you about, we have another solution I'd like to talk to you about, and you get into it. Jeff will go over that way. He'll teach you those questions and teach you those ideas behind it. But before you even get to that level, relax. There's some requirements to sell in this market. You need your 4-hour annuity CD or CE credit. Great. We can do that for you at theagentsadvisor.com. It's right there on our website. There's some other steps Jeff will teach you. I don't want to steal your thunder. I don't know what you're going to talk about, but the reality is relax. You're capable of doing this.
And what I have found with the existing clients, we all call that a warm call in our industry. Since it is a warm relationship already, if you just say, after you help them with your Medicare supplements and such, if you just say, hey, we have now started offering life insurance and long-term care and DI. Well, DI maybe not so much for 65-year-olds, but we've offered life insurance and long-term care and fixed annuities, and we'd like to sit down and do a review with you. Could you possibly just bring all your statements with you, or if we're coming to see them or going to see them, then can you have those statements available? That's a nice non-threatening way of just opening up the conversation. And believe it or not, most people will bring all those statements out and say, well, here's what I got here, here's what I got here, here's what I got here. Now, some of you may already know those answers, but the transition is not that difficult to talk from a group health conversation, a Medicare supplement conversation, or a property and casualty conversation into the fixed annuity market. Now, switching over to long-term care and things like that might be a little bit more challenging. So before you show any products to anyone, number one, of course, you got to be insurance licensed, life and health. Number two, you got to have that 4 hours of additional annuity training, as Joe mentioned earlier, and we have that through the agent's advisor. And then with fixed annuities, I can't remember how many years ago, they started requiring product-specific training for each product almost. Usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes, so won't be real difficult, but they do require that. And number four, you got to understand the suitability issues. The industry has changed quite a bit over the last 10, 15 years, in the fact that now even a lot of the companies on their applications have a box at the top that says no more than 50% of a client's investment assets should be invested in annuities at any given time. So if you exceed that, we're going to have to try to get a special exception. Not saying it can't happen, but that means there's 50% of money out there that probably is still in CDs or in the stock market or something in a business. So no, we've got some suitability things that we got to discuss. And then, of course, you got to get appointed with the agent's advisor so we can get you set up at Ash Brokerage. Joe already talked about the training and the joint work. We will we'll host webinars like we're doing. We're going to plan to do some lunch and learns, some meet and greets at various locations throughout Indiana, and we're also going to offer some some training at different locations throughout Indiana. And as I said, Joe said, we do offer a joint working arrangement. I've discussed that with a few of you already, where if you feel you do not feel comfortable whatsoever, we'll set up a time where we can go out and see maybe 3 or 4 clients in a day or two, try to teach you what to say, what to look for, how to have that conversation. And it might take 3 or 4 cases. It might take 5 or 6, or you might say, hey, I just want to specialize and focus just on my property and casualty business. You come in and do it, and we'll split the case that way. So whichever way works for you, we just want to provide that service.
That's the key on it there. There's so many agents I've worked with that are a little bit timid about approaching this, and they stay in their lane, stick to what they know best, whether it be Medicare, whether it be health insurance or property and casualty. The idea is if you truly are serious about growing your business, your practice, right? And we talk about being an agency builder and empowering independent insurance agents. This is one of those things. And we can guide you through the process and help you grow into this market. As carriers change comp grids, as carriers get in the market, out of the market, as legislation affects your practice, whether it be in health insurance or Medicare, if you're going to stay in the business, you got to continue to grow in this business, grow through that change. I've been through a lot of change in the last 26, 27 years in this business. Jeff, I know in your 30 years you've seen a lot of change.
There's been a lot.
You can grow through it and evolve as an agent and advisor. And this is one of the ways you can do it. Now, I like talking about this. It starts first with let's get you teed up, trained, comfortable. Let's start having the conversation with your client. Let's start putting together proposals and understand it's going to be a process. But then if you look at over the course of the next 52 weeks, the next 12 months, if you were to write on average 4 or 5 annuities this year, you're talking about generating, if the average annuity is $50,000, you're talking about generating on average, $2,500 a case if, depending upon comp grids and everything's fixed, indexed, and all that's all different. We all understand that. We all know. And if you don't know, we're going to show you. We're very transparent about that. And you're going to build, $7,000 to $10,000 of new revenue to your revenue that year. And you're going to have confidence knowing, hey, I can do this. I'm not just one thing. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say, if you just did 4 or 5 cases a year and say you were lucky enough to come across people that did have $100,000 or more in their accounts, you're doing $500,000 in annuities at 2 or 3 percentage points. That's $10,000, $15,000 right off the bat, and that's not talking about, you've uncovered life insurance, you've uncovered long-term care insurance needs and things along those lines. I think a person should be able to do a whole lot more than 4 or 5 cases a year, but everybody's different. If you're in this business full-time, annuities I think would be the easiest thing to do, 20 or 30 or 40 of those a year, but again, everybody's different. So we want to wrap this up by summarizing a couple last things, and that is the average time on the first case. Let's just say you've got your insurance license, you've got your 4 hours, you still have to get appointed with the carriers if you haven't gone through the training and so forth. By the time we submit that first case, you are talking anywhere between probably 12 to 15 days because they're going to do the background checks and so forth and get you appointed. Now, after that, if we do another case with that same carrier, you're probably talking, 3 to 8 days. So that first case, just let your client know it could be a little bit longer than normal. They don't need to know it's your first case, but just we will know that, and so let them be aware. So in summary, we've discussed what is an annuity, tax-deferred investment vehicle, how to have that transitional conversation to the fixed annuities. Why now? Because really, I'm a registered rep, and we think the markets are slowing down. We're having a good year so far this year, but worldwide, markets probably are going to slow down a little bit. So a 3.5% on the fixed side, I think that's as good as a lot of bonds are going to pay. You never have to apologize for a stock market downturn. It's not going to affect your relationship in that way. You don't have to be securities licensed, and it doesn't affect your Social Security income like dividends and capital gains on stocks and mutual funds do. So overall, I think it's a very easy, smooth transition conversation to have.
So your next step is let's get set up, get linked to us, and we'll get you what you need. We'll send you an email with the setup instructions, connect forms. You'll send them back. We'll activate you. Then you're going to be ready to start quoting, doing case development, placing more business. If you have any questions, just give us a call at the Agent's Advisor. You can call us toll-free at 877-886-4829. You can reach out to Jeff personally. You can send him an email. It's jeff@theagentsadvisor.com. Jeff, you can give me your phone number.
Yeah, my direct number is 317-590-2240.
And in closing, we appreciate your time. We appreciate the business and the relationship we have working with you. And we want to thank you for attending today. And as always, make it a great day.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with you soon.